When we analyze our lives on a macro scale, we seldomly focus on the tiny nuances of life. That moment you blew through a red light, the amount of sugar in a candy bar, the warning label on a car seat, those tiny day-to-day intricacies that rarely make the highlight reel. Until one choice, one moment, one warning changes the trajectory of your life. It moves from insignificant technicality to life-defining destiny. This story is about my moment, 1 second in time that would change nothing and everything all at once. There is a clear line in my life, the before and the after. You may have known me before, the engineering student at Southern University, the Kappa, the guy from the band. The last thing you would find me doing was shying away from the attention. This was my before. Then there was the after. It started in February of 2017. I was dealing with the mild annoyance of an ingrown hair in my beard. A coworker noticed it was bleeding during a presentation, and it was then that I decided it was time to see a professional. The time passed by slowly in the waiting room of the dermatologist's office. I was finally seen and quickly given a prescription. In hindsight, an immediate red flag should have been the fact that I was in the waiting room way longer than I actually spoke with the doctor. I'm unsure if he actually knew what my concern was. If he was more attentive, could it have stopped him from prescribing the one medication that would alter the trajectory of my life? I doubt I'll ever know the answer to that question. Minocycline, 75 milligrams. I never could have imagined what would happen next. One Friday morning, I woke up with a pain behind my eyes. It was like nothing I had ever felt before. I had just gotten a refill on the minocycline and was getting ready to take it for the day. But something just told me stop. Stop taking the medication. All day I felt off. I was in serious pain and cold. My dermatologist gave me a steroid shot, and I got better. But then I got worse again. I developed what I thought were lesions on my skin. And then came the most unexpected and obvious sign that something serious was happening. My skin started to fall off. I finally mustered up the courage to tell my mom what was happening. As moms do, she rushed over and did her best to take care of me. I distinctly remember my mom fixing me a hot toddy. I tried putting on clothes, but I just collapsed on the floor. I initially protested to go back to the doctor, but after dealing with the pain for a while, I realized I needed to go to the emergency room. The hospital staff tried desperately to figure out what was going on. They knew I was having an adverse reaction of some kind, but didn't know just what. My temperature was 103, so they gave me ice water to try to bring it down, along with Benadryl for the reaction. They finally told me that they thought I had pneumonia. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Then, the next symptom came. There was a day at the barbershop when my barber mentioned that my hair felt different. It was becoming thin and waxy. I would eventually realize that I was developing alopecia. Another symptom and no closer to the answer of why this was happening. By the time I was referred to a doctor that can give me some answers, my skin was falling off in large sheets, my hair in globs. The specialist was pretty positive. I was having an adverse allergic reaction to the minocycline. This was the first time I heard the term that would change my life. D.R.E.S.S syndrome. Drug rash with eosinophilia and systemic symptoms. I was finally referred to another specialist who confirmed my D.R.E.S.S diagnosis. The doctor explained how this was a very violent allergic reaction to the drug I had taken for my ingrown hair. This was also when I found out that 10% of African Americans have major allergic reactions to the drug. How could something prescribed so regularly have such a major side effect? It was relieving to at least be able to put a name to what was happening to me. I started a new medication, and within a few days, my inflammation began to subside. By the time November 2017 came, most of my original skin had fallen off completely. Every doctor would tell me how much a bizarre case I was, so I started to do my own research. However, I couldn't find any info about African Americans with the disease. I did eventually connect with communities of people with D.R.E.S.S, and even a woman, Miss Kathy, whose daughter passed away from the disease. I began to contemplate my own mortality. How close was I to being a story that my own mother would tell about a son who took a medication and died from something that no one fully understood? But somehow, I was still alive. I was still here.
My prognosis with D.R.E.S.S syndrome and vitiligo and alopecia at this point is you pretty much see is what you're gonna get. I think at this point, in this stage, I'm the most comfortable I've probably been with it, dealing with it over the course of a year and a half. I'm diagnosed back in 2017. I'm not all the way comfortable with it. I'm not exactly, hey, let me, spearhead this rally or this group of people. But I've noticed that I'm better off playing my role of just being somebody that can, actually help with, just making anybody else comfortable, or just educating a friend on what it could be, or just, a total stranger. So as far as my prognosis, I'm just dealing with it day by day, honestly. My doctor told me that I'd have maybe a few bumps, like, elevated liver enzymes, which I do have currently, or kidney issues, which I'm blessed that I really haven't had, but I've had like a couple different spins as far as health scares. Like I've had my sugar spike up like 2 or 3 times to where, they have to check to see if I was diabetic, or I've been checked for lupus like 4 or 5 times. And knowing that something so small as a pill can trigger different diseases and syndromes and sicknesses is like, man, that alone puts like a fear on top of what I have. It stresses me. So it's like, with me being stressed, I'm not gonna say I'm making myself sicker, but at the same time, it's like, I went from being carefree to, should I take an aspirin? What the hell is gonna happen next? Pain level though, I can say. Pain level is like kind of subsided. Before, I wanna say like, since I've been almost 2 years in now, it's like, I've watched it go from its worst to probably like its simplest. Like I think me being out in the sun is probably the most painful thing. I can be in the sun, it's just a long extended period of time. It's like I start to feel like I'm frying. But but it stings. It's like needles poking you over and over. It's weird to describe, but it's like, oh hell no, I gotta get the hell back inside. The vitiligo is getting better, but the weirdest part about it is I'm so comfortable with being where I am now that taking another medicine or another drug or something just to correct it terrifies me. It's like, okay, it's almost in the sense of, in my head, why would I want to go through that same situation again? Just to repigment my skin, just to, I guess, fit in back into a society of, okay, well, you should look this way because everybody else looks that way. You just tough it out is the best way I can put it, because this is my first rodeo with this. Like, I've looked a certain way for 29 years. To have it flip, like within a matter of months. So with it getting better, it's more of I'm getting better with dealing with it. It makes more sense to say that. As far as it getting better, they've told me that there's a drug that the FDA is working on that may come out in a year. I mean, I've done a lot of things at the beginning to try to get it back. Like I've did the light therapy treatments, and just, because there's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have your color back in 36 months. 36 months passed. Well, let's give it another 36 months. A year passed. It got to the point like, I'm not doing this anymore because like it's literally burning me. So at this point, let's just see how it plays out. I took the medication for exactly 28 days, from the beginning of May 1st to May 28th. I remember I had just gotten the refill for the second dose or whatever, and So roughly about, I want to say a good 10,000 people reported cases of D.R.E.S.S syndrome out there right now, including myself. It's a very rare, very rare, very, very, very rare syndrome, which I've come to learn and find out. And when they first told me D.R.E.S.S, I was like, okay, you're joking. But it's an actual thing, and I'm one of the many people fighting with it. I know that there are 5 people, African Americans I'm speaking of, with D.R.E.S S syndrome. me being the sixth. I've been doing a lot of research just trying to, I guess you can say, find somebody that looks like me to talk to, or just kind of reach out and say, hey, what did you do, or how was your experience? I've been told by one of the medical professionals that it's a 10% window of African Americans that have D.R.E.S.S. So I guess that says a lot about the 5 or 6 that I know. With pursuing legal action with that doctor, or just any kind of reaction to my situation, I think it's necessary. I think it's something that I need to do because honestly, I wasn't in his office more than a good 5 minutes. And I think that speaks volumes because with me, if I'm going to you for a service, especially if you're a professional in that field, I would expect the best care. I don't feel like I got that. It's like I need you to hear me out. And instead of hearing me out, it's like you say, okay, do this, this, and this. And a month later, I get a reaction out of this world that almost takes me out of this world. And here I am today. It's not so much of a, oh, I have to get you. It's like more so of a, you need to know what you did. The one thing I want people to consider when taking medication is read the side effects. I don't think my side effects really were highlighted on the bottle. It said mild discoloration. As you can see, this is not really mild. This is a head to toe, inside out transformation for me. 2 of the greatest things I've learned from this process is genuine beauty. Like I've really learned to really love everything for what it is, and patience. Man, I had to take some time to really fix my mind. Like I always say, thank God for my sanity, because this could have went a completely and utterly different way. Like just some of the thoughts that I've had, it's mind blowing. It's scary, but I'm thankful that I'm here. So my life goals have changed. I'm not gonna say a 360, but it's been about a 180. I know I've always wanted to do something with helping people. I always do that, but it's like I have more passion towards it now. Like I have more compassion with trying to help somebody feel how I feel. It's more so like just, I want to empower more people just to, just be them. Because you can't be nobody else but who you are. I think with some of the goals that I had before, when I was, just one color, it's like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get this done, and it would never happen. I'd never put forward effort. I never gave it any, no real oomph. I can say this has kind of, excuse my French, lit a fire under my ass. It kind of gives me, it makes me unapologetic. I don't give a fuck about a lot of stuff. I just don't. I honestly do not. Now this is empowered me to, it's my time now. This, I'm gonna do everything that I wanna do now. It's crazy to say, but it's now that it's I realize a lot, and I can say look, this is what I'm supposed to look like. This is how I'm supposed to look.